Good day, everybody. Props fell. Alarms went off. Good day, everybody. This is Yin Yang in California with Morsels of a Thought number 1653. I am here with the book by George J. Chanos, Millennial Samurai. Oh, you have no idea how hot it is in this room. Oh my God, I don't know what happened. I think the heater got left on overnight, like really high. Oh gosh. Anyway, so um today we are reading from George J. Chanos's book, Millennial Samurai, Book 1, A Mindset for the 21st Century. It's this book. It looks like that. It's got a white cover, not yellow, white. It's yellow. I mean, it's white. Millennial Samurai are here from the world of AI, and George J. Chanos gives lectures on how to look at the influx, the tsunami of AI, and what we will need to do. He knows that we're going to have to change our mindsets, our processes, our expectations, our behaviors, and our skills. So, believe in yourself. This is page 24 of Millennial Samurai. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. That's by Henry Ford, founder of Ford Motor Company. In Morsels of a Thought, we quote people. George J. Chanos just quoted Henry Ford. I quote George J. Chanos because in Morsels of a Thought, I hope to bring you some morsels of a thought of wisdom. And when we know what we ought to do, that's a form of wisdom, when we know the right thing to do. Actually doing it takes the action that George J. Chanos mentions that can't be done without action to get virtue. You get virtue only through action of acting. Acts are acts of virtue is about acting. Virtue is about action. Virtue is about the doing of the right thing. And knowing the right thing to do is a form of wisdom. It's not just knowledge. It's a form of wisdom when you know the right thing to do. Okay, so here we are. Believe in yourself. Chapter 4, Believe in yourself. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. Henry Ford, founder of Ford Motor Company, said that. George J. Chanos says, you need to believe in yourself, not in some delusional, unrealistic way, but in a rational, optimistic, and courageous way that inspires you to action. From there, add determination and commitment, and you will be on your way to realizing your dreams. The life you lead depends more on you than on anything else. How you think determines how you act. Belief in yourself is therefore critical. It will guide every action you take. It will influence everything you say and do. For those who believe in themselves, anything is possible, and for those who don't, nothing is possible. Use positive affirmation to build your self-confidence. Wake up every morning saying, I can do this. Believe it. Internalize it. Trust in it. Millennial Samurai believe in themselves. Now, the next part is to think for yourself. He gives you a quote by Friedrich Nietzsche, a German philosopher. Nietzsche is spelled Niets. Ooh, sorry, I did that wrong. Nietzsche. I never knew how to spell that. Now I do. I used to do it without the Z. Now I'll add the Z. If I remember the T. Nietzsche. said, the individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. If you try, it will be lonely often and sometimes fright you. If you try it, you will be lonely often and sometimes frightened. But no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself. Whoa. You know something? I think that's kind of how I've done my life. I know I've been different. I've always been different. And I'm just going to say this if I say it myself. I feel as though I've paid a pretty high price to get where I am. And the high price was to say, hey, I didn't get that house. I didn't get that uh, family, children. I didn't get that career. I didn't get that degree. I didn't get those degrees, then that degree. Um, but I always knew that I didn't compromise myself. I had the choice of whether to use the solution set to the problems and cheat my way through college like most of my classmates did at UC Berkeley in 1984 and 85 and 86 for physics, 7A, 7B, 7C. We had the solution sets. I had the solution set in my hands. It was in my home, and I used it to correct my homework, but I didn't use it to copy my homework. So I refused to do that. And when the place was graded on a curve and I got a C, but then it turned into a D or an F, I wound up with an incomplete grade in that course. Never did resolve that one, but I will see in the future whether I can. I know I can. I know I can. But here, the individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. Now, my tribe was the tribe that had the solution set. I was part of that tribe, but I broke away. Nietzsche says, if you try it, you will be lonely often and sometimes frightened. I was frightened when I was homeless. But no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself. No price is too high. I agree with him. My price, I didn't feel was too high. I felt it was very, very, very high, and I didn't know what to do about it. But with Henry Ford's quote right here, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And this one here, no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself. Friedrich Nietzsche, German philosopher. Now, I don't know if it's a privilege to own myself. I think it's a right to own myself. I have the right to own myself, but I have the responsibility to know that I need to break away to be able to own myself. That's the responsibility of the act. Okay. Anyway, before we get too gnarled up into entanglements, ooh, um, I want to say that what I do here is I read morsels of a thought of wisdom. And my goal is to bring you ideas to avoid pitfalls and to do the right things for your life, for yourself. Um, some days I talk about women dating men. Sometimes I talk about mortgages. Sometimes I talk about a story of a high school boy who dropped out, who person who actually dropped out on purpose and may or may not have been on purpose actually at the beginning, but he found a way. And what else? Words and wisdom. So, my goal is to bring you morsels of a thought of wisdom so that you can bring yourselves to virtuous action. Okay, Dr. Chanos says, do you control your thoughts or do you allow your thoughts and the thoughts of others to control you? In his best selling book, Principles, Ray Dalio's very first principle is think for yourself. Think for yourself. Dalio says, If you can think for yourself while being open-minded in a clear-headed way to find out what is best for you to do, and if you can summon up the courage to do it, you will make the most of your life. If you can't do that, you should reflect on why that is, because that's most likely your greatest impediment to getting more of what you want out of life. Okay, let's break Dahlia's advice down and pay attention to each element of that advice. Number one, think for yourself. Number two, while being open-minded. Number three, in a clear-headed way. Number four, to find out what is best for you. Number five, and summon the courage to do it. This breaks down my show into little, even more digestible parts. Morsels of a thought of wisdom are right in here with George J. Chanos' words here. He breaks down Dahlia's advice. Let me do it again. Think for yourself while being open-minded in a clear-headed way to find out what is best for you. Number five, and summon the courage to do it. This is especially critical at a time when social and political media is being manipulated by undisclosed interests. Mainstream media has lost all objectivity, and groupthink is increasingly the norm. Groupthink, that's one word he writes it as, groupthink is the refuge of a lazy mind. It's a short-term solution for those who are unwilling or unable to think for themselves. And like all short-term solutions, it fails to address our long-term needs, which include the need to develop our ability to think critically, the need to develop and improve our minds, and the need to make intelligent, well-informed choices. A failure to think for yourself weakens you by allowing these critical skills to atrophy. It leaves you with a sword unworthy of a millennial samurai. Millennial samurai think for themselves. I like the analogy of the sword here because it's one that would have been rusted and never mind. I don't want to talk about that. Anyway, excuse me while I get my lipstick off my face. Open your mind. Frank Zappa, American musician, says, a mind is like a parachute. It doesn't work if it isn't open. Frank Zappa, American musician. Okay, open your mind, says George J. Chanos. We all have blind spots and biases that cloud our perspectives. Alternative perspectives allow us to see the complete picture, inform our opinions, and increase the probability that we will discover the truth. Humility and open-mindedness offer unique insights that ego and opinion preclude. Humility and open-mindedness offer unique insights that ego and opinion preclude. When searching for answers, don't be concerned with where the answers come from. Be concerned that the answers are right. Surround yourself with the smartest people you can find, people who have alternative viewpoints and perspectives, people who can point out what you might be missing. Solicit, explore, and evaluate other people's opinions and judge those opinions based on their merits. Devour information and alternative opinions, not in a quest for validation, but in a passionate search for the truth. And know this, the only certainty in life is that there will always be a great deal you do not know. Millennial samurai have open minds. Intuition. Psychologists define intuition as immediate understanding, knowledge, or awareness derived neither from perception nor from reasoning. Intuition is essentially the brain processing information without your conscious awareness. It is unconscious thinking. Now, in morsels of a thought of wisdom, we're doing conscious thinking, all right, but we want to pretend we're virtuous people at first until we are virtuous people. We want to know the right things to do, and we want to do them. Those are thoughts of wisdom and acts of virtue. We want to think and we want to act. We want to think wisely and we want to act virtuously. That's what morsels of a thought is for. That's what I'm here for every day. I've been here 1,653 days straight. Okay, anyway, brainstorming is a powerful technique to discover solutions, says George J. Chanos. Brainstorming is a powerful technique to discover solutions. Brainstorming encourages all suggestions, including those based on nothing but intuition. For good reason. Try the brainstorming rules from the www.ideo.org to achieve maximum results. I as in indigo, D as in David, E as in Edward, O as in Oliver, orange, Oliver, whatever. Some of the most remarkable discoveries, like penicillin and Teflon, have been based on little more than informed intuition. However, not all intuition is equal. Bruce Kazanov, co-founder of Park City think tank, says, "You might say I'm a believer in the power of disciplined intuition. Do your legwork, use your brain, share logical arguments, and I'll trust and respect your intuitive powers. But if you merely sit in your hammock and ask me to trust your intuition, I'll quickly be out the door without saying goodbye." Kasanoff believes that for those who have been rigorous in using their conscious brain, intuition can sometimes provide the highest form of intelligence. He says, sometimes a corporate mandate or groupthink or your desire to produce a certain outcome can cause your rational mind to go in the wrong direction. At times like these, it is intuition that holds the power to save you. Intuition can be cultivated and encouraged by setting aside time to reflect, taking walks, spending time in nature, clearing your head, and practicing mindfulness and meditation. Engaging in creative activities also quiets the cognitive mind and allows your intuition to flourish. Your intuition is a powerful tool, especially when it is informed by due diligence and consistent with your core values. Millennial samurai understand the power of informed intuition. Now, this is not strong in me. I don't have a strong intuition. I don't feel that I have a strong intuition. So, what I'm trying to understand here is some of the most remarkable discoveries, like penicillin and Teflon, have been based on little more than informed intuition. I'm trying to get the idea of this chapter, and I just see it as, God dang. Intuition. I feel like I need to read this again and again. You can go back and replay. Meanwhile, I'll say hello to John Clark. Hello to George J. Chanos. Hello to everybody here on the replay. Let me take a look and see how many minutes I've got. I think I've got 5 more minutes. I think, yes, I do. 4.5. Okay. Seek the truth. Here's a quote about seek the truth by Alvin Toffler, Toffler, American writer and futurist. The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Learn, unlearn, and relearn. Okay, I'm going to take a look at this part right here just to make sure that we have enough time to read the whole thing. I don't think we do for now, um, but we can start it. Well, let's not start something we can't finish. Okay, I'm going to put a bookmark in here and make sure that we read this next time. Um, right now, I'm just going to talk about how we need to use this book. In this book, George Chanos sent me this book and told me to believe because he wanted me to highlight the parts that would be most crucial to you beforehand and read them to you. I have read to you certain parts of it already, and I'll tell you what I've read. I've read to you Designing Your Future about the author, the Internet of Things, Neuroplasticity, Mindfulness, Parenting 101, In Business Be Brief, The Forward, Passion, Hope, Optimism, Life Isn't Fair, Control Your Thoughts, Critical Thinking, Set Clear Intentions, What Millennials Are, What Samurai Are, and What Millennial Samurai Are. Remember that millennial samurai are the new reborn samurai. These are samurai from the ancient Japanese Bushido. Bushido was the warrior's way. And let me take a look. We have a little time. I'm going to talk about the in the traditions of Japan, which are very similar to the traditions of China, which is where my family hails from. Um, the culture was the same. They shared the culture over that sea that I don't know the name of in between China and Japan, and they spent thousands of years uh, communicating to each other. The thousands of years they sent from the mainland. They sent a literacy over there, a literacy of hieroglyphs, the Chinese words called kanji. Chinese words, kan means Chinese, ji means words, kanji means Chinese words in Japanese. And the samurai, the art, the martial arts were also traded back and forth. And the samurai, they curved their swords. You'll see that they did katanas. They had katanas. They had they curved their swords. So they have the state of the art in terms of the culture that was derived from somewhere in India over the Himalayas through China all the way over to Japan. And I feel as though this is a distillation of the knowledge that was brought through the ages. Well, that was thousands of years ago, starting in 215 BC. Um, or 415 BC. I can't remember which, but no, it was 215 BC. 223 BC to 215 BC was when the Emperor Qin traded sent the kids over, actually just sent the words over, the hieroglyphs over, and they traded back and forth. And they brought two scholars back from Japan to study the words just to make sure that they had them. And now we have AI, which is doing thousands of years of evolution in hours, in seconds. So we've got to learn what we've got to learn here. Okay, and I view the book with trepidation. Every single time I want to open it, I think of it as there's more to learn. But we're not afraid of that, are we? We're millennial samurai. Hell no. Okay, I will talk to you again later. Old Kinderkick, bye bye. Old Kinderhook.